everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name's Nicole and this is Dusty Book Sniffers, and today we are here for Tag Tuesday and we are doing the book acquiring tag. So let's get started. Well, good morning or good evening everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for taking some time out of your day and seeing what this video is all about. Yes, that's right, you heard me right. Today I'm doing a tag video and it's not something that I normally do. But I decided, after being tagged by several people at the end of the year, that I probably should get my finger out of my butt and do some tag videos. So I've sort of slotted some down, maybe 2 a month. We'll see how we go. It's not something that I've ever done. I've done the newbie tag because that seemed like a good place to start. That was my first video that went up. And I've done the mum tag because I was tagged by Kelly Reads a Lot for that one, and that was her original tag. That was around Mother's Day, but I don't think I've done any other ones. So I thought, well, why not? Heather from our Heather's Heroes and Heroines, she tagged me in this a couple of weeks ago. And as I said, it's the book acquiring tag, and there's 10 questions or prompts in total. So without further ado, let's get stuck into it. So prompt number 1, do you plan your book purchases ahead or do you just impulse buy? Impulse buy a lot. Shh, don't tell my husband. I do buy a lot of impulse. I would say I'm an impulse buyer, but also if I'm planning to do read-alongs or something like that, then I plan my book purchasing. I do have a budget that I tend to blow each month. Not by a lot, but sometimes I'll go over. In the last 6 months, I would say I've gone over my budget maybe 3 times, which is not bad. That's only 50% of the time. Prior to that, I didn't really go over. Most of my books I read are physical out of the book grocer. Sometimes I might get to go to a secondhand book shop and I'll grab some books. Generally, I grab classics for that. And then yeah, other than that, I buy Audible or Kindle and Audible with an audio as well, the option. A lot of the books that I've been getting lately, especially my cozy mysteries and all that sort of stuff, I've been getting on Kindle. I just prefer them on Kindle. If I'm doing any read-alongs or anything like that, I tend to go for the physical. But yeah, I am definitely, I hate to say it, I'm an impulse buyer. I'm terrible. I see bright shiny things and I have to have it. What can I say? All right, so I sort of answered this question in the first one. I probably should have looked at the questions before I started rambling on. Number 2, how do you decide what books to buy? Well, as I just said, if I'm doing if I'm personally doing a read-along or in a book club or anything like that, I like to have the physical book. If I'm in a discussion about it, I like to have a physical book as well. And so that sort of drives my decisions on what I'm going to buy. But generally when I'm impulse buying, BookBub, oh my God, that email that I get, I really need to not be in that with that email anymore, because I have bought so many books for my Kindle with the Audible option. And I've got I think I've got 170 books on my Audible, and I don't even want to think about what's on my Kindle that I haven't even read. But I am starting to get into them. But those were pretty much they're all impulse buys. But for the most part, I do, for all of my book clubs and all that sort of stuff, I like to have the physical book if I can. All right, what is your philosophy on where you shop online, small, big, and do you prefer new or used, is question 3. I'm not fussy either way, whether it's new or used. If it's in really good condition, used, I'm happy to purchase it. If it's in, if I purchase something off eBay and I get it and it's in really crappy condition and the seller hasn't told me that, then I get quite upset because I feel like I've been ripped off. But I don't buy a lot off eBay these days. Years ago I used to. These days I don't, because we have, here at King Roy, every year we have Bookfest. And that's done through the local schools. They have one collection point. Everybody takes their books and the money stays in the community. And then we have the Lifeline Bookfest as well. And so that's a massive one. That goes for a week. That's a week-long one. And I haven't been to it for the last few years because of COVID and all that sort of stuff, but I do like going to that. So I'm not opposed to buying used books, and especially if I'm doing like book clubs and stuff like that where I have to mark them up, I prefer to get a secondhand one as opposed to a new one. Now, as for the new ones, if I'm collecting an author, I will always get a new book. If I'm like for my Penguin Classics, I have all the cloth bounds, but for the read-alongs, I have whether it be Oxford or Penguin Classics. Sometimes it might be an obscure brand that I've picked up or whatever. Yeah, I'll get those. I like to have those in new condition, but I'm not opposed to either one as long as I can get the book. I actually don't think I really care. It's only if I'm collecting I like them to be brand new. And as for whether I like to shop at small or big, well, I live in a small country town. That's about the only thing that is small about this place. We have no bookstores. We have our secondhand book. We have our secondhand shops that have small selections of books in there. Most of them are just like old books. That's why I tend to go to the big Lifeline Book Fest. And then we've got Big W that has books, and they're all new releases and stuff like that. And quite honestly, I read a lot of back catalogue stuff. I do read new releases, but I don't generally read them when they come out. I might read them a year. I might buy them, and a year or two later I'll get to them, because I have a massive TBR. Like, I think at last count I had like 100. Well, it's not actually that big. Some people have bigger. But yeah, so I am limited in my town of where I can buy. Now, in saying that, I buy a lot of stuff online, and I do shop at Amazon, but I do check other places first. So I go and check the book grocer because they might have a book box that has several of the books that I'm looking for in it. They might also have those books in stock as well, so I'll buy it from there. But a lot of the time I do buy from Amazon because it's easier for me to buy from there. And my daughters, they shop at like Kmart and like Dimmicks and places like that. But at the end of the day, we are all on a budget, and shopping at places like Dimmicks where, you know, you can get a book on Amazon for $17 and the same book on Dimmicks is $32. So I know where I'm going to shop for my budget. Ethically, I would prefer not to shop like on a big, like Amazon or, you know, Dimmicks even or anything like that. I would like to shop at an independent bookstore. So that's why a lot of time I will go to book exchanges and stuff like that, because it's a little bookshop and they're trying their best to make a dollar. But yeah, but for the most part, I do shop online, and unfortunately it is from Amazon, because that's where I can get everything that I want and quickly. Okay, so what do I think about little free libraries? Do I have one? Have I used one before? Now, I don't have one personally, but there is a place just around the corner from me. It is the Distance Ed place in Kingaroy, and they have a small free library there. And occasionally I'll go and put some books down in there for them, and I'll take a book if there's something there for me. But yeah, I don't really have, there's not many that I have seen around Kingaroy at all. That is the only one that I know of. As I said, I live in a small country town, so it's pretty limited to what I can have. Should I put one out the front of my place? I probably should, but I do have a friend online that we don't really know each other that well, but we're online in a lot of groups together on Facebook, and we go to a retreat together, which is Brisbane Cross Stitches. And that is Lucinda, and she has a free library, I believe. And so I've got a few books there for kids' books that I'm going to give to her next time I see her for her library, because the one around the corner prefers adult books than little kids' books. So young adult to new adult and adult books, whereas the little kid books they don't really want in there, which is fine. And so, yeah, so I'll give them to Lucinda next time I see her. I've just got to put them in a box and remember to take them with me when I go cross-stitching next. All right. This is a good one. This is a really good one. Number 5, how do you feel after acquiring a book? Do you share it, or do you do it as a diary entry? I generally just put it on my bookshelf. I've got a particular bookshelf that has to be read, which has just been all shuffled around because at the new year after acquiring books all year and all the rest of it, and I've read and I shove books back in, at the beginning of the year, I rearrange all my bookshelves, and then I put all the books that I've read in my library, and then they'll come out. So the books that you generally see behind me, they are generally, some exclusions, they are generally all to be read on those shelves just behind me. Not the long one, but the stacks behind me. Sometimes there'll be like I've moved my series off there now. I've got a series to be read put at the top where Harry Potter and The Witcher used to be, but I haven't read Harry Potter. I've watched all the movies, and I think that wrecked it for me. So yeah, but anyway, I digress. So after acquiring one, I generally put it on my shelf, and then I'll pet it a couple of times. I'll touch it a couple of times as I walk past. I'll pick it up a couple of times and feel the cover and stuff like that. And I generally have a book journal, but I don't have a section in my book journal where I put my new books that I've acquired. And I generally, since I started Booktube, I've been sharing my purchases, but not very often here on Booktube. So maybe I should start a diary of the books that I get, so I know what I've purchased in a year. Or maybe I just want to stay in denial and not have that at all and just show you the books that I get and do it that way. All right, the next question is, how do you feel looking at the books that you haven't read yet? Does it matter what the amount is? Well, no, it doesn't, because as I said, I live in a small country town. Sometimes I have a budget where I can buy a lot, other times I don't. So if I have the budget to buy a lot, I can buy a lot. And when I don't have the budget to buy books, then I've still got books to read. So for me, it doesn't bother me. I've just started doing and this goes back to the cataloging. I just got an app called Books, and you can scan the barcode and it'll enter it in, and it'll catalog it for you. I've got it cataloged on title, and the only books that I have in there at the moment, bar a couple that I've read since I started doing it, are all to be read ones. And the last time I checked, I was which I'm still adding books into because I've acquired a few more since then. And I think that's all I'm going to use it for, is for books that I haven't read yet. So I've got a record of that. And I've got another thing where I can put books that I have on my shelves, but I pretty much remember the books that I've read by the covers and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it was 125, and as I said, I've got a few more to add on it, and that does not bother me at all, because if you've watched any of my TBRs in the last couple of weeks, which was my bingo one, and then also my January TBR, most of those books that I showed you were off my shelf. So my bingo one, all but one were physical books that I had, and they came from the books that I acquired at Christmas time. And so I'm going to chew through them. And when you consider in 2022, I read 150 books, I've got 125 there. So if I read every book that's on my shelf, I'll have them read by the end of the year if I read all of those books. And some of them I DNF as well, because they're just not for me. There's a pile of books that I've got there that I'm slowly looking through, and I'm reading all the synopsises because I don't think I'm ever going to read them. I don't think that they are just going to gel with me. Something needs to spark my interest, and so I've set them in a pile, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the first couple of chapters. Even though I like to read 100 pages, I'm just going to read the first couple of chapters and just see if the story grabs me in or not. If it grabs me in, I'll leave it there. If it doesn't grab me in, I'm just going to set it aside, put it on my daughter's bookshelf, see if she wants to read it, and then make a decision after that. So I don't really care if I have a lot of books there, because, sometimes I don't have money to buy books and I want to read a book, and if I have nothing there to read, then I'll have nothing to read. All right, so this also follows on from that at number 7. How do you decide what number is the right number? I don't think, for me personally, I have a right number. I am as I said, self-employed, so sometimes my budget's good, sometimes my budget's not. It purely goes on how busy I've been, how busy my husband's been as well. We do have a budget set aside each month for our Kindle and Audible and Scribed. So I have the three, and that equates for me, I think $50 $52 I spend. He spends, he only gets Audible, but he buys extra books each month. So he has a budget of around about $100 for him because he's in the truck all the time and he's exclusive audiobook. He doesn't, a month, sorry, not a week. And so that is a month that he spends on that, but sometimes he might spend more, sometimes he might spend less. So for him, over the course of a year, he evens out pretty much okay. He's been doing a lot of the free stuff on the Audible Plus, and so have I. And then I've got Kindle Unlimited because I like to read a physical book, like the physical word and stuff like that. So I have a lot of those books that I put onto my list, and every now and again I'll do a challenge and I'll read nothing but Kindle Unlimited, so I'll polish off 20 books in a month. So I don't have a right or wrong number. I don't have an amount that's going to be, you know what, that's it. For me, I look at it as if I don't get to it now, I may get to it in a few years' time, and then eventually I'm going to retire and my funds aren't going to be as disposable as they are now. Does that make sense? So basically I am shopping for my superannuation. I also do this for my craft supplies as well. So to me, I am planning for the future. I don't care. Like, a story is a story. If I liked what I liked about it when someone was talking about it, I'm going to put it on my bookshelf. I've got The Girl with the Tattoo Dragon. I've got the trilogy there. I've had that on there since the 2000s and I haven't read it. I think I've read maybe 30 pages in the first one and it just wasn't at the right time to read it, and it's still sitting there. I'm happy for it to sit there because one day I'll get to it. So yeah, I don't have a right or wrong amount. All right, the next one is, do you have a TBR game or a process to reading them? No, I don't have a TBR game. The closest I come to a TBR game is my bingo prompts. So that is a weekly prompt for me. So I roll the dice, and I've just brought everybody else along with me. I roll the dice between 1 and 12, and whatever rolls up, that's what I read, and then I cross that off. So if I roll if I roll 12 this week, I can't roll another 12. And so by the end of the 3 months, the 12 weeks, I have read 12 books, and I generally like to pick them up off my shelf or out of my Kindle. So my shelf is first, then my Kindle, then my audio. Do you have a book buying problem? If you asked my husband, he would say yes, but I will say no. I have a book buying problem if I'm buying for the future. If I went and got counselling, I think the counsellor would probably say I have a book problem, an impulse buying problem, maybe, which then, yes, is a book buying problem. But no, I don't think I do. And I don't think any reader would think that they have a book buying problem. Someone who isn't a reader and doesn't like a physical book, like my husband is an exclusive audiobook reader. So all of his audiobooks are on his Audible. He can access it from his phone, and he doesn't take up any like space or anything like that. Me, on the other hand, I love physical books. I love the look of them. I love the smell of them. I love looking at my bookshelves. I need to see them. I need to have them. And my daughter is very much the same as well. Between us, we've got over 1,000 books, probably more. That's just us being conservative. We've probably got a hell of a lot more than that if you count our online purchases and all that sort of stuff. But no, I wouldn't say I have a book buying problem. My husband, on the other hand, would say yes, I have a book buying problem because it's cluttering up the house. They're on bookshelves, they're not on the floor or anything. All right, and number 10, tag 2 or 3 people to ponder their book buying habits. And I am going to tag, if they haven't already been tagged, Ray Reads Anything. He's an eclectic reader like me. Maria from Read Find Books, because we read very much the same sort of books. And I'm also going to tag Bandana Book Mum, because I'd like to hear what she's got to say. But that is it from me today. I probably waffled on a little bit too much, over excited about doing some tag videos, but this does make you think, this tag on. But anyway, that is it from me today. If you have yet to subscribe, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the little bell icon beside it, and also give me a thumbs up as well, because it all helps. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.